Hey YouTube! Yeah, it's a bit dark, I've got the light behind me, but I'm going to reduce the size of this anyway. So I'm watching a guy doing a video, or I didn't actually watch the video, I'll be honest. It was like a 20-minute video how to change the scratch plate in a strat, so I'm doing one where I've not actually decided yet exactly what I'm going to do with this. There, so if I do that and that, you get to see, I'll put that table kind of in the middle. See, I'm still in the corner. Yeah, so this is a Squire CY99 China Standard Series HSS strat. As you can see, the switch tip has broken off. Annoyingly, I'm going to have to try and find another. I can't actually get the switch tip is still stuck onto the bit of metal that came off. So I think you just glue the thing on, maybe. No, do it properly. It's just gonna break no matter what kind of glue you use, I think. But I can't quite get the needle and those pliers in there to pull that out. So he might actually be getting a black switch tip, or if I've got a white one, which I might have somewhere. Yeah, so HSH, and basically I'm just going to replace that. And while I'm in there, he's giving me a push-pull pot to do something with. So I might try something entirely new, which no one's ever done before, to my knowledge, with it. So here we go inside. Very, very thin wires in a Squire, but it does have big pots, which is quite good. Even though I'm not really sure there's any difference. I mean, the ones that you get on the push-pull pots are always small. I have seen big ones, but they were from the 80s. Yeah, so what I did notice is, look, here there's an extra wire coming off. This is the humbucker wire here, and there's an extra wire, this wee white one, which I think is a coil split wire. I'm going to check that before I commit to anything though. So currently the way this guitar works is humbucker and then position 2. The switch still works, it's just broken. The tips off it. Humbucker and single, so you don't get proper position 2. Then, as you expect, middle, both of these, neck. So what I'm going to do is replace one of these tone pots with the, I'll turn on the soldering iron, with the push-pull pot. And what I'm thinking of doing is I think I might make it a coil split, which means you will get the proper position 2. But what I think I might do is fit it as a Gilmore switch as well. So when you pull the pot up, it splits this into single coils, and it adds in the neck pickup, which gives you these two pickups, or these two pickups, depending which way it goes. These two probably. So you get like a sort of middle Telecaster position, and then my thinking here is, but just because see these switches have two sides on them, well, using a coil split, all you do is you're just setting the, well, that's it, up, down. So in the down position it connects these two together, and in the up position it connects these two together. So when you pull it up, it'll connect that coil split wire, assuming that's what it is, to earth, and then cancel out the first coil. Basically that. And a Gilmore switch would be the same thing. I would just take the output from where the neck pickup comes, which would just be from where it comes off, whether it's this one or this one, I can never remember. No, these ones, these are tones. That one, I would just hotwire that onto the switch, and then the output of that goes to the output of the switch, which means that when you pull it on, it just hotwires this so it's permanently on. My reason for thinking of doing that is, if that's not what Neil wants, I'll make a wire a different colour, a purple wire. Somehow you just snip that wire, and then it'll only do the coil split. Pretty easy. If you do it the other way, it'll only do the. If you snip the wire going to the coil splitter, it'll only do the Gilmore switch. So it's like a sort of make your own option. Here's two options. So the way I'm going to give it to him, currently the plan might not end up that way, is when you pull this up, the extra sound you get is the Telecaster one, this, as opposed to this. But we'll see. And both of them, if you're on, you'll get if you're using the position 2, you'll get all 3 pickups. Yes. So let's take it to bits and see what's going on. So I'm just going to take this to bits. Very, as I've just said a minute ago, very thin wires on these. But as my soldering iron, I'll prepare this first. So what you want to do is scratch this thing up with a wee file. I just use these wee crappy Red Needle Nose files, just to get the So if I scratch this, it means that the solder will stick to it better. And I will be putting the solder on there first before I try and connect any wires to it, and I'll do the same with these as well. I don't need to use all three of them, but it's actually harder just to do it. I'm just roughing up the surface because I kind of coated in some sort of rust inhibitory plasticky stuff. You know, it's fair enough. And I'm going to do the same with these. Just give them a quick, and then on both sides just to get them so I can actually get the solder to stick to them. So this is like sort of preparation work, and then the same at the top. I'm tempted to just, while I've got this out, just do a bit there just in case I don't have enough room. It doesn't matter whether you earth that wee tab or whether you earth the top of the pot. It's all good. And several guitars have, notably Gibson Epiphone SGs, when you put one of these things in, an SG is quite thin, so the cavity's not quite big enough to take that. So basically, you're kind of almost wanting to not put anything on the top if you can avoid it, because you know the when you're putting the cavity cover on to cover it up, it's totally wedged against it. So I've actually seen myself before try to get the extra millimetre by actually angle grinding off that wee tab just to lower it by 2 millimeters, just in literally the back of the cavity cover's sitting on it. You have to kind of put the earths on the side. That's why I'm going on. I always put the thing on there on the side. So I'm going to solder it up with a nice smelling solder, whatever this is. Probably means it's mega toxic. Kind of smells like banana milkshake or something. This one. I'm just putting that on. Yep. See, now there is solder stuck to that, which is always handy. And then, because this is a tone control, I only need to, I think that this is called tinning, actually. I put solder onto these two. Oh. Just in case I'm heating them up to, I think you're breaking surface tension or something. And then I'm going to do these wee tabs while I'm in there. The sensible thing to do here would be actually to find something to hold this so it didn't move like that, but why would you be sensible when you don't have to be? No, not putting tons of solder on, just enough so there's some solder sticking to it. That's just falling off. No, I'll just randomly flap away at this until it sticks to some of it. Actually, it's not wanting to stick at all. Don't know still. Maybe I haven't given it enough of a scrape. Actually, it's just not sticking to it at all. Even if you do the tops of them, it gives the solder something to stick to. Alright, and what I normally use is to hold it. I've got my trusty monkey wrench, which just basically I'm just using it so it stops wobbling about. It's like not actually clamping it down or anything like that. Right, and there it goes. You can kind of almost feel them break. Come on. I just solder not sticking to this. I'm going to clean the soldering iron the best way, which is basically I'm using this bottom bit on my jeans. You can get a spongy thing, but this doesn't seem to want to. Maybe I will actually use this as a proper monkey wrench. Not going to squeeze it or anything like that, just enough to hold it. Still. It doesn't wibble about. I might even be able. Can I be able? I'll do that. What if, can I lower this down? Zoom in for you. Oh, there we go. Look at technology, eh? Technology. Got solder on it. don't actually need to do all the terminals because I'm only using the bottom ones on this particular. I'm noticing I'm not actually holding it on for a huge amount of time because you can actually melt the switches, which happens quite a lot when people are starting soldering. I don't need to do all 6 terminals, but I'm doing them anyway, just because. Sometimes you just don't want it to take solder. On the top there like that. Yep, right. And then I'm going to clean that up a little bit just to make it. Now that the solder's stuck, a wee bit will stay on. And yes, you can use you get like a special soldering sponge. Why is that when they're not wanting to take a? I see that being a problem later on actually. It's sticking to all the other terminals, doesn't seem to want to stick to that one. Yep, okay. Right, so that's that prepped. Right, so we're now on to. Oh, what I was in here for was to remove this switch. I can remember where everything goes, so I'm just going to pick off all the parts. If you were doing this, so there's your output there, which is the 2 terminals stuck together. Like that. And these are your 2 tones. The tones come off one side of it because the Strat has 2-tone controls. I might even well, we'll find out later. I did do a thing in one of Scott's guitars where when you pulled the push pull out, it did 2 things. I like doing 2 things with one switch if I can. And the third, you can just cut off the wires. I remember which one's the. Yeah, so this switch is coming out because it's knackered. I'm not saying I won't use it for something else. Maybe I never throw it in away. So I mean, maybe a comedy guitar or something will have a broken switch. I'll work out some reason for it, and I might be able to use the actual arm bit from this and another switch that doesn't work. And this is the point where I'm going to go, oh, it doesn't fit. I'm going to unzoom out again with my super technical unzoom out. Ooh, there we go. And don't ever lose these wee screws. Basically, that's why I'm keeping it, because quite often you find you get like boxes of parts and it doesn't have the wee screws that hold it in don't work. So 1, 2, switch out. I didn't bother showing you taking the guitar to bits this time, so this video isn't an hour long, although it's probably going to be an hour long, isn't it? I had a bit of an adventure yesterday. My computer's been, my pal Dava helped me. My computer was going, the video was going slow. I was like, what's going on? And there's a thing, I can't remember what it's called, Afterburner or something like that, which is like a sort of a temperature sensing thing that tells you the speed, the temperature things are running at. And it was running so hot. It was 58 degrees. It was running at just normally. And then when I was watching it when I was doing video rendering, and it was going right up to pure stupid temperatures. I think it was nearly 70 something. I think it went to. I was like, oh. So basically, it was just my computer was overheating. And I was thinking, oh, it's like, why is it overheating? And then I looked inside it, and it was like, oh my god, what a lot of fluff build up, and you couldn't even. Some of the fans were so blocked that you couldn't even see. There didn't even appear to be a gap between the fluff. So I basically took my PC to bits, just removed the fans, and then went outside where it was quite windy. It was a nice day, luckily, yesterday, and just totally cleaned the fans out and put it back together again. Now it's running at 29 or 30 degrees, like just now, and it's like, right, so basically, Don't let your fans get clogged up. Yeah, so I'm going to take this. I'm just going to redo this. So that's your. What I'll do is I'll find out if this is a. I'm not going to take that off because I can't be bothered. What I'm going to do is I'm going to check this and see if it is actually a coil split wire, because that'll be kind of. It kind of depends on. I can't really be bothered taking a pick up to bits to add the extra wire if that's not what this is. But this should. Who didn't look out where their multimeter was before they started doing the video? Me. Right, there we go. So multimeter, I'm expecting between the red and the earth is going to be, I don't know, 8.5 for a PAF. Could be anything. So for between there and where it's going, should be 8.5, 9. Oh, it's a bit more powerful. It's 11. So if I go to the centre one, it should be half that, so it should be 5.5, which is probably about the same as one of the neck pickups. Yes, so that is a coil split wire. I am going to have to extend that to make it reach though, so I'll just do that now. I'm going to stick a wee bit on there. I've got this stuff called heat shrink tubing, which I really need to get a bit more. That'll probably do. I need to get the right size of heat shrink tubing. It's like I've got wee silly bits, and some wire, which was thanks very much for the donation to the channel. Give me a roll of wire, so I've checked miles of wire, so I'm never going to run out of wire again, which is great. So I don't even need to be that. It doesn't need to be any longer than that. So if I just snip a bit off there, I'm going to do the old tinning thing again. I've got a funny feeling I don't have the right diameter of, because this wire's a bit thicker. I'm also going to replace the wires that go to the output jack because of those wee hair thin ones, which I mean it doesn't need. If you think about a pickup, you know, it's like the wire that's wrapped around the pickup, the circuit's going through that, and it's like the thickness of nothing. But it's just hard to work with. It's much harder to solder when it's a really thin wire. I mean, I've used speaker cable and stuff like that before, you know, just a relatively thin speaker cable. It just makes it easier to work with. You get more. You can see what you're doing. Obviously, it's cheap. It's more expensive. If you're building 1 million guitars or a couple of 100,000 guitars, you can probably save a couple of pounds by using slightly thinner wire. So they do that. I'm just going to extend this wire by. I put the solder on both. Oops. Pull looks kind of alright. I think that's just going to be a wee bit of tape, to be honest. Red tape, just. There's so many rolls of these tapes. Every time I'm in a pound shop, I see it and go, oh, I'll be able to colour coordinate things. Never end up colour coordinating anything, but just having a wee bit of tape just to stop it shorting out and anything. I don't have heat shrink cable. It's like I need to buy more. The problem is that I made a mistake one time of buying the heat shrink stuff and bought stuff that was far too small. It was completely useless. So this wire, although it looks like it might have been joined by tape, it's not been joined by tape. It's just the tape's just insulating because it is insulating tape. Yep. So there's that. Right. And I should probably, you can see this switch. The way these switches work. You see that there? You can sort of see it. Right, so pointy thing. See this metal disc here? When you slide that round. So in this position, right, that this lug here is always touching this metal disc. And then there's this tab here which is touching this disc, and then if you move it round into the middle position, or position 2, you can see it's touching this one and this one. That'll be position 2 there. The middle position, because it's only touching the middle lug. And then if you go to the end, it's only touching that. So that's basically all it does. And there's another one the same behind it. That's for a strat. So it's basically like two, technically 3-way switches. Because it's like, if you look at it there, you know, the original 3-way switch, it just didn't, this has just got a notch in it, so it sits and joins both of them together. But an original strat, it would just be the 3 pickups, and you could choose one at a time. And there's one on the other side because a strat it's to run the 2 tone controls. You don't, if you've only got 1 tone control, you don't need to use the other side of the switch. You can just run it off the volume control, but you need to do that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to tin the switch. as in just put solder in all the terminals, even the ones that I'm not going to use, just because I'm doing it anyway. So, and this is a much thinner metal, so it's like the solder 6 to this, no bother at all. I'm not sure how toxic this stuff is. You know, that do it all day, every day. Me breathing it in. Yep, so there we go. Right, and I'm also going to take off. I'm going to take off this this tone control and rejig it just to get a bit more room. So take that off, and then this is the it's one of those ones that they twisted it round before they soldered it. Right, okay. Oh, that's that wire completely out. The circuit is not going to be getting used again. And it would take that out of there. That's that pot now removed. Using my trusty Halford socket set for taking these off. So I'm just going to do this in situ because you can actually get quite easily to the back of the push-pull pot when you've got a Strat, which is one of the advantages of a Strat. It is annoying the fact that you have to take the scratch plate off to get at the electrics, whereas in like a Les Paul or an SG, you don't, because you can just get it, you leave the strings on and stuff. But so I might have to get some washers out because I want this to sit at the right height, so that when it's at rest, you'd never know it was there. So I'm just eyeballing it, as you can see there. That's sitting an awful lot higher, so washer required. Washer is Scottish for washer. He's a washer. I've got a tub of washers here. Just going to find one that fits on the pot, which I've already lost. Right. That one fits. It's fine, yep. Does that one fit? Yep. Anytime I ever throw out any parts, you know, broken bits and stuff like that, I keep these, I keep washers lying about. I take it that's not enough to get it up to the right height, is it? I think one more. One more. Not going to fit, is it? Not going to fit, not going to fit. No, too big, too wee. Try to do it without having to pour this bag of washers on the floor to get the one I want, which is normally the case. But now I've got two of them and I only need one more. I might just use something like that. Would that do as a washer? So it's not really a washer, but it's gonna. It needs less than that. So if I take it, rivet stuff in. That's the one. So they can go back in there. I can put that away. And I can put this on. And hopefully that means it's going to sit at exactly the same height as the other knob. So you would never know it was there. I kind of like this sort of super secret hidden thing you get. It also makes it a bit annoying the fact that I've now, anyone ever tried to take those needs two different sockets because it's a different size. So there we go, and I've got it pointing towards in here. So this is, I suppose, technically a wiring a tone control option. But I'll do that afterwards. If I just bent that with my finger when I put it in, just make sure it's not touching anything. Right, so as I said, you can see on this, I'm going to replace that wire as well. That's very thin wire. I would rather just use stuff that's a bit thicker. Doesn't conduct, well, I suppose technically it does conduct better, but nobody's going to be able to tell that. It's only going from there to there, so it just needs to be that long. So Squonk, my biggest video for months, yeah, do something stupid. So I do all this effort putting in doing big, videos that are interesting and informative, and then I do one where I had a squeaky strap and I developed my own new sound, big squonk, and it gets more hits than anything else. Yeah, okay. It was basically just the name that got me because I had I found the punk drum things on my on that wee drum pedal. It's like punk, because I'm being a progger. I grew up thinking punk was shite, basically. Punk, punk, it's not real music, It's like, recently, I've since found out that punk really isn't what I thought it was. Really, it's just can be anything, just rock and roll, isn't it? Rock and roll with attitude. I did actually buy Nevermind the Bollocks on vinyl, partly because it was only 50p, and I thought this is going to be terrible, but it's a well-known album. There must be a reason, and it's not shit at all. It's good. I liked it. Got a good album, and not well. I'm going to say it's not punk, but I mean obviously it's punk. It's the epitome of punk in it. That album, but I liked it. It's not just shit guitar playing and things. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put it to the bridge position so that I know which is connecting. So if I now look at this switch, I can see that this one here is the bridge connection because I can actually see it connecting in there. So this red one goes on there. So that's the bridge pickup connected. And now fully working. This guitar now works in this position on the bridge pickup. And then that is the bit that's going over to that thing over there. So that can just get tucked out the way for present. I'm going to replace that one as well. I'm not going to use any. I'm just going to use thicker wire. I don't like these wee stupid white bits. Yeah. Thin crap. Right. As you can see, the wire that comes off the pickups is that. Anyway, right now I've got to try and find out. With just doing the. So there's the neck pickup. That one. That's the neck. So the neck goes on the other outside. Over here. Sometimes it's a bit of a 50-50 guess which is on the other types of pickup switch. But the middle one's always the middle one. So it's easy to find. It's just you sometimes, if you're on this one you can actually see which is which. Right, so there we go. It's now working as a 3 pickup guitar. Obviously I've got to connect the output jack, but without that. Right, so now I'm going to do the tones. That would be that there is that's this lug's there. The middle lug is the one that's the output that goes to the output jack. I'm just going to cut more bits of wire to do the tones. I might even do a wee bit of rappy to make it look better. And the tone, on a tone pot, you only need to use. I've not decided yet. It's going to be a coil split. I'm going to leave it as the. Like if you ever wanted to make the bridge pickup and the neck pickup, the bridge pickup and basically have a tone control on a Strat, all you do is jumper these connections I'm about to show you, and you can either jump it with the middle pickup or you can jump it with the neck pickup depending on what it is you're trying to do. So just make sure these aren't the wrong way around. So that's neck bridge position. That's the bridge there. So this is the middle tone, which is this one. See, clever. So that's the output. So yep, in neck position. Bridge, middle, neck. Yes, neck. So neck tone comes from this one. And goes to there. I'm going to snip this so it's at the right length, or approximately. I would rather give it. I'd rather it was like a couple of mil longer than it had to be, rather than pure tight. As Gold Member would say. and the tone just goes to the middle lug. In this bag, there's a couple of tone pots, so I'm just tone caps, so I'm just going to use them. You can get away with just using one; it doesn't make any difference. But I'm going to use two just because more is more, isn't it? You can easily run two off one. It doesn't necessarily. And solids, there's the neck tone. And then, am I going to run them both off the same one? I'm going to run them both off the same one. I'm going to use the existing tone pot. Let's not mess up tone cap. Let's not mess about with the original sound of the guitar. Let's not do that. Right, so basically all this is doing is connecting this lug to earth. That's all it has to do, and I just don't feel that it needs to be as big as that. It'll make things a little bit less cluttered in there if I just do it easily. And there's not really point in that being anything like as long as that. I'll just snip that down to something a bit more manageable. And then I'm going to stick this in here. Goes into lug. This is actually lug 1. So if you, the numbered 1, 2, 3 coming from the top. And I suppose if I bend that flat on there, and then just going to connect it on there, it's nice and easy. I will snip that also. Yeah, so that's now, we now have a neck tone pot. Right, and then what I'm going to do with the tone pot there, see what this does is it runs this between this and earth, so you're varying the amount that comes from the middle pot that goes to this. So if I just link a wee tiny bit of wire that connects, a wee tiny bit of wire that just dropped, there we go. Again, I'm going to trim the ends and tin it before I do this. I can just run this from the other pot as well, doing exactly the same thing. And then tin that, tinned. Tin that, tinned. So if I just stick this into the equivalent lug, which is lug, what did I say it was, lug 3? Nope, lug 1 on this. That's in there, and then I just connect it straight onto the same tone pot because it's going to the same place. It's just, and it's totally fine to do that, and there's absolutely not really any point in using two tone caps unless you wanted a different value tone cap. There's no point in using two because waste not, want not. Like that. So there we go. Bang. Oh, no. You can see how it gets fidgety. Yeah. So now we've got, try and make it look a bit neater. Bend it out the way because I need to get in at that. Yeah, so we've now just connected the two outside lugs to this, but basically, whereas this, the middle lug is going through the pot and then going to the tone cap. It's the same on this one, but I haven't yet put the other wire in. There's another wire that has to come from there, so I'm going to cut another piece of wire. How long does this one need to be? Something like that. Something like that. How long have we been doing this so far? Half an hour? Well, that's something. So doing this a while, even though it's something pretty basic, does take, yeah, So people, oh, how can you charge more than a tenner for that? Well, look how long it's taking. Okay, I'm talking rubbish quite a lot of the way, but I'm doing it properly. I'm also replacing wires I don't like. I'm basically just treating. I tend to treat guitars like they're my own. What would I want? Right, that's solid. Let's go into there. Might even do a wee bit of fancy pantsy stuff for this, just for the sake of it. And what I think I'm going to do next is actually connect the outputs of the two sides of the switch, just so I don't forget. And then when I put the guitar back together again, I go, oh, I forgot to connect the wire. You can kind of do a wee bit of that. Just keeps it kind of a little bit neater when it goes to the middle lug. Yep, so there's your two tone controls connected and done. So now we've now got a guitar that has a 5-way switch with 3 pickups. Sorted. Right, and as I said, I'm going to do that wee extra bit just because, to join the outputs of both sides. They are actually opposite, aren't they? They are, yes. So that the tone controls work. So another wee stupid snippet. I'm tempted to actually just use that. There's no point making that any longer. I can't believe I've got so much wire, and I'm still going, oh no, I can save that. There's no point wasting that. Even though I've got, I don't know, so it's a 30-meter roll or something. Oh, I can save an inch. I'll just look after the pennies. So I see there's an awful lot of reviews online of the first episode of Mandalorian season 3. I can't find it yet though, so I don't know if people get it. People get it early to review it or something. What am I doing with this? So I'm just going to basically take the output of this side of the switch, connect it to the output the other side of the switch. I'll link the two sides together. If you notice when I took it off, it was the middle two terminals because it was a different layout of switch. This is that's an Oak Grigsby type thing they're called. Right, so now this guitar has a volume, 2 tones, and a 5-way switch all working. It's soon to have a coil split, which is this one. So I'm just going to cut that to snip a wee bit off the end of this. Just do a wee bit of trying to run it around this to try and keep it so it's less likely to. Yeah, I'll do that. This all makes it a little, when you do this, you wrap things up like this, it makes it easier to put the scratch plate back on again because you don't have to try and sit in there trying, you know, if you know what I mean, if you've ever tried to do a strap and you're trying to get the scratch plate on and there's a wire stuck between the body and the thing, it's really annoying. And this is just going to go to the middle lug of one side of this switch. And I'm going to be using the, when we're looking at it here, come on. So this is where it gets a little bit fidgety because you're trying to work on a pot that's really pretty small. So that's going on there. I'm now thinking it might be better to run an earth first. I'm going to run the earth first, just because it makes it slightly easier. It doesn't need to be very long. It means I don't have to. If I do the one on the bottom, the one that's harder to get to first, I'm less likely to. It's just less fidgety to get to the one above it, basically. was really trying to start to use. I've just used Stanley knives my whole life, so I'm so used to it. There is an extreme danger of if you're doing this for the first time, cutting your fingers, slicing them open. Because I've done it so many times, it's probably not good practice. Still remember the day I was working with my dad. I was doing plasterboarding, like awkward plasterboarding. So all day I was cutting up stuff with a Stanley knife, cutting up plasterboards. You know, doing a wall, doing all the awkward bits. All the sheets were on. I was just doing all the wee fidgety bits. So I was cutting, I don't know, probably about 100 cuts of plasterboard with a Stanley knife, using it all day. No problems. And then on the way home, I went to Asda, or was it Tesco in Greenock. And when I was at the till, I sliced my thumb open on a packet of mince while I was putting it onto the checkout. Yeah, great. Like using something designed to cut all day, and then this is the one that I was having problems getting things to stick to earlier on. It's just an earth. And all this is doing is earthing the coil. Well, I was going to earth with coil split wire in a minute, which is going to split that pick up down to one. And then this one's going to go into the one above it. And there. Yep, so we've now got a push-pull coil split. And as I said with the push-pull pots, when it's down, it's joining what we're looking at here is, this lug and this lug. When you pull it up, it's joining this one to this one. So when you link this up, what it's doing is basically running that extra wire that came off the pickup to ground, which cancels out the first coil, gives you the second coil. Pretty simple. And then I'll do a Gilmore switch anyway. I'll do a Gilmore switch, and I'm going to use a bit of red wire, because this is the bit that I'm going to say, just cut the red wire. And if you don't want the Gilmore switch, just cut the red wire. One of the things I got to mention when you're doing these things is see, this is different because this guitar is an HSS wired Strat. But see, if you decide, I'm going to put humbucker in my Strat, it's humbuckers are generally the wrong way round compared to single coils. So it's very common for so that's basically the output of the switch. It just goes straight to there. I didn't have to go into there. I could have gone onto there instead, and that's going to go through there. But I'm going to do a wee bit of tidy, wrappy roundy, smanchy pantsy, whatever you call it, wiring to make it look better. I normally do the fact that I do this in a much more extreme case when I'm doing something difficult, because if it's very complicated, the more I can neaten it out, and if all the wires are cut to exact length, the less complicated it looks. So this it's also just kind of wrapping this up a little bit. Looks like I've actually managed to tie a knot. No, I haven't. There we go. Yeah, just kind of makes it look like a flux capacitor or something. And I'm just going to put this onto the bottom. It doesn't matter whether this goes on the bottom or the top. All you do is connecting two things together, so it doesn't matter which way around it goes. Probably trimmed the end of this before I did it to get a little bit fidgety. put it onto the bottom one. Doesn't really matter which way round it goes. There we go. So now we're connecting the bottom lug there to the output there, and I'm just going to do exactly the same again. Did I make it look a bit fancy by using a different coloured wire? Do I have another bit of wire? There's purple wire. I use that. I use purple wire. Because it looks prettier, doesn't it? But basically, this one's just going from. There's where the humbucker goes. I'm going to the same switch. So if I just take it, that amount or something. Quick edit in here. I'd inadvertently wired this up wrong a little bit when I went to test it, and it turns out what I'd actually wired up wrong is a much better system. So what I said I was doing, which was the mistake I thought I'd made, was I said you put the tap wire, the blue one, to the neck pickup, right? Which makes sense. That gives you your normal Gilmore switch. What you'd normally do is have the neck, if you're in the bridge position and you hotwire the neck on, it gives you the neck, right? So that would give you, the way I said it was wired, even though I'd inadvertently done it this way, maybe just by habit. I've done this before, this particular switch before. So the way I said it was going to work was, you're in the bridge position, you pull up the switch, it splits this, and it adds in this permanently, which gives you the outside two coils, yeah? So your Telecaster sound, but the problem with that is though, you can't get position 2, which is a single coil here and a single coil here, because this pickup's on. What you do is you wire it backwards. So when I'm in the neck position, right, and you pull up this, it adds in the bridge pickup. Yep, so just the same thing. Yep, the difference here being when you go to position 2 or position 1, you're adding in your coil splitting. So basically, humbucker, when you're in the bridge position, humbucker, single coil, which gives you your proper position 2. Yeah. And then you've also got, if you leave that as humbucker, you've got the original position 2, which is the humbucker and the single. And if you go to the neck position, which is just the neck position, and pull this up, it adds in one of these, so you get your Telecaster thing. So actually it worked out better. I'd forgotten I'd done that particular modification to the circuit. That's the sort of thing you don't get when if you're just following diagrams. Actually being able to think these things out a little bit. So instead of the original 5 sounds, right, you've still got the original 5 sounds from this guitar. In addition, you've got 6, which is a single coil in the bridge, 7, which is your single and single, your normal strat position, 8, which is the neck pickup and the single coil. And if you go into position 4, you get the neck pickup, the middle pickup, and the single coil. So you get these 3 on. So you get 9 sounds out of it, whereas a Gilmore switch only adds 1. 2. So you get 7. So you get 9, basically. So actually, yes. I can normally do this, but I'm not talking too much, because I'm talking about stuff while I'm doing it. It's like, it's distracting. Yeah, so now it's got 9 sounds rocking, just as a wee by the by. So what I did was, instead of everything's exactly the same as what I had wired before. I went in and changed it back, thinking, oh, hold on, it's not doing what I thought. Yeah, it's everything it does, but that's what so that's how it works. So the actual way I've wired it in this video is correct to this wiregram. It's just, it's not what I said I was doing when I was doing it. If that makes sense. Rocking. I managed to disconnect it. from the actual demo. Yep. And I'll do a bit of the rappy bappy as well. So Neil, if you don't want the Dave Gilmour switch to be active, or the Wild Dog, whatever it's called, I used to always call it the Mad Dog, the Wild Dog. Burns guitars used to have it. It's not a modern design. But and again, this could be a worldwide exclusive. I don't know if anyone's ever done a Gilmour switch and a coil split on the same switch. Maybe it's because that's not what people want, but there we go. I'm just thinking he's probably got quite a lot of strats, so probably position 2 isn't as unique as the new position, the Telecaster or outer coils or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. So that's it. Wired. With relative confidence that that's going to work first pop. Yeah, say, look. Maybe it looks a bit more complicated, but I'll do that. So we've got the two tones. As I said, if you wanted to make this tone pot run the bridge pickup as well, what you would do is you would just connect. Oh, have I just made a mistake? Have I? No, I haven't. You would just connect. There's the bridge terminal on the other side of the switch, which doesn't have anything connected to it. So if you put a jumper lead between that and that, between those two, that tone pot would now run the middle pickup and the bridge pickup. Or if you wanted to, you could link it between that and that, which would mean the tone pot would run the neck tone pot would work it. Yeah, so that's kind of that. Where's my stop, don't scratch the back of the guitar bit. Duster. There's the guitar here. And there's these, that's a decent wire. These are thin, feeble little band pots that are going to get replaced. I don't like them. No extra charge. I just don't like them. And these are wee screws as well. I don't want to use. You've got a swimming pool right here, which actually my Roadster isn't quite the Alan Holdsworth model, but the Alan Holdsworth model is very similar to my Roadster. It's just basically they did the same with my Roadster as they did with the Ibanez RG. They took Steve Vai's guitar and just made it, didn't put some of the fancy stuff on it. It's like, yeah, okay, we've made you your gem, here you go, brilliant. And it's like, well, there's some extra things on there, like the Tree of Life inlay and the monkey grip, and you know, these things just cost money and they're not, you know, they're sort of a bit fancy and unnecessary. And what else is there a difference? Either scalloping the top frets, although I'm not sure the original one had scalloped top frets with the very first model. And the scoop bit behind the, you know, the lion's claw or whatever they call it. Don't really. Where's that black wire? I don't really reckon that black wire was long enough, so I'll just make it a little bit longer than that. It seems very long. I always snip it later. Aye, so what was I saying there? Oh, the Steve Vai, so what they did was Ibanez also released the RG550, which is basically exactly the same. All the principles are the same, it's just it doesn't have any of the fancy stuff on it and it costs a quarter as much. But that's what my RG's kind of that with the Alan Holdsworth one. It's got like aircraft grade aluminium bridge. I don't have an aircraft grade bridge, but it's the same bridge though. Right, so when you look at these you can see which one's the... That's obviously the bit where the outside ear sleeve goes, and this is the tip. So this is the black one here. So I'm just going to solder that onto that. think I'll use the blue wire as the hot, or the purple, whatever it is. Make it the same length. I always like to try and make it so that you can actually take the scratch plate off and kind of flip it over without these wires being too short when they're getting pure squished. Just for future. If you're ever going into it again for any reason or messing about. You don't want too much, otherwise you end up having to try and stuff it into the hole. So if that one's the black one, then this one's the white one. Well, the hot. Right, now the joist bit, and I bet you this isn't dead easy to poke these wires through because it was such a small. Well, that's quite a stiff wire. That'll be alright. This one's quite a floppy wire. Well, I've got something to do with the truss rod on this guitar as well. There's a wee bit of plastic in the. That was a mistake I just made. It's much easier to poke through from the inside than it is to poke through from the outside. There's a bit there I want to just cut off. Bit of untidiness. Wouldn't get that in a Japanese guitar. That's the blue one. And the black one will be much easier to put through because it's a much stiffer wire. He says. Oh, he was right. Okay. Put these back in again before I lose them. Just a double check that make sure this isn't wibbly. I seem to be dropping these socket settings quite a lot. It's not the right one. Smaller than that. It wasn't really loose, it was just not as tight as it could have been. One. Two. So I will be stopping this video very shortly. I'm just letting it run because maybe this is the bit that you've not had problems with. So this wire here, the third wire, currently putting a scratch. This one goes onto the here, so that earths your strings. So basically, you only need 3 wires, or sometimes extra earth wire. Sometimes this is shielded and all these things. It doesn't need to be. But, yeah, well, you can if you want. I'm just doing that to make it a bit neater. I've got to tin these ones as well. I said probably slightly longer than they have to be, but no. Got that. I'm watching the Bad Batch. Just came out this morning. It's alright. I think Andor's kind of ruined Star Wars for me a little bit though, unfortunately, because I really enjoyed it. Thought it was really good. So when you start watching this other stuff, it's kind of like didn't dislike Obi-Wan Kenobi that much, but it was kind of not as good as the Bad Batch. Like, but obviously very much set in the same world. They're all set in the same world, but Right, so it's going on like that. So what I want to do is I want to put that like that. So here's your earth wire coming from the bridge. I'm going to stick it on to this bit here. Now this isn't my solder, so this might take a while to melt. That's not too bad. Yeah, that bastard in there. Come on, go in there. Go in there. Melt onto it. Melt onto it. Did I not tin that? Did I forget to tin that one? That's more like it. That's the difference between tinning it and not tinning it. When you're trying to stick it to it, this won't do anything. And I'm just going to put this other one right next to it. Another earth. Again, I'd imagine not tin that one either. Hot. There we go, like that. And then the hot goes to the centre lug on the volume control. Yep, so there you go. There's a fully wired strat with a Gilmore and coil split switch in it. This wire is a bit longer, but see, I mean, it means you can actually move it about because there's this extra. But because I've twisted them together, you're not really having to try and poke that much things in. The one that always gets you is, see, when you're trying to get the cable to go in this bit and it doesn't want to be, so it's like, you know, try and get that to be sitting like that so it doesn't end up wedged between here and the scratch plate. It's the only difficulty with this one. Bit of pokey. Put that in there, that in there. And now I'm going to realise that the bloody doesn't fit because of something. Why does it not fit? Something physical. It's because of that wire there. Is it? Don't want it to go behind there. Like that. Something's stopping this going in. What is it? Is it that? Damn you! That's it! Just... Oh, there we go. I've got to drill a hole in the body of the guitar. It's not deep enough to take the pot. That's just not... See what I mean? Look. Oh. Get this angled so you can see it. The pot's too long, too deep. So what I need to do is I need to drill a hole using a Forstner bit with my black pen. I need to drill a hole kind of there to take that push pull pot. The things are never easy. Yeah, so although it's nice and clean just now, it's going to be very dusty once I've done it. And I'll do my I'll maybe stitch it onto the end of this video when it's actually working, or I'll just leave it as the, you know, I'm going to drill a hole there using a Forstner bit. There you go, so it looks unknown, and then you can pull it up and you get your push pull, and then that's just the same, and that's your volume, and then your 5-way switch, which currently has a black tip, but I'll have a look, see if I can find a white one. Yeah, black looks totally wrong. I'm gonna have to try and find a white tip somewhere. But seeing as I never throw it in, it'll be there. Yeah, so there you go. So the joys of this is why I don't like. I was talking to my pal Taylor the other day, and he's like, "Oh, anyway, I've got a few guitars he done. He lives in Kilmarnock. Because anyway, you can come down and you know, just do them at my house rather than having to do 2 trips." And it's like, well, if everything goes fine, yeah. I mean, you just got to accept that generally things never go fine. Really. Just get too technical. If I turn this on, right, you'll be able to see me. Ha! Yes. But it's like something like that. It's like I couldn't have foreseen. Well, I suppose I should probably have known if it's a Squire, it doesn't have a deep enough cavity. Blah blah blah. Some guitars do, some guitars don't. It just depends. But that's the joys of these things. So it's like just following diagrams and expecting everything to go as planned. No, even when it's something, I was actually quite looking forward to doing this because it wasn't anything difficult. It was just simple, and then it's like, and now I've got to go into the garage and find a Forstner bit for the drill and drill a hole in it to take the new thing. So it's not, when I say it's a reversible mod, it's reversible to the point of you can't fill that hole in again that I'm going to have to drill. When I say hole, I just mean like an indentation. Drill it down to this depth here, but there. Yeah, so rock on, and thanks for sticking about for, what did I make it, an hour? It's an hour. So, hopefully you've made your dinner by now. Rock on, catch you later.